right. Okay, good evening. Okay, good evening.
Wow. There we go.
Okay. I really love my boomer stuff. I really do. Sorry, guys. Yeah, good evening, ladies and gents, wherever you may be around the world, and welcome to Splendid Isolation 214. You will notice there are never any 13s on Splendid Isolation because I'm a superstitious Englishman who used to work at sea, so I don't do these things.
13 is actually a very lucky number, but to some of us.
Well, yeah, only because of your birthday, but yeah, all right. But anyway, as always, I'm going to start us off with a tune.
Take up the white man's burden, send forth the best ye breed. Go bind your sons to exile, to serve your captives' need, to wait in heavy harness on flooded folk and wild. Your new gods sullen peoples have devil and have child. Take up the white man's burden, in patience to abide, to veil the threat of terror and check the show of pride. By open speech and simple, 100 times made plain, to seek another's profit and work another's gain. Take up the white man's burden, the savage wars of peace. Fill full the mouth of famine and bid the sickness cease. And when your goal is nearest, the end for others sought, what's love that heed and folly, bring all your hopes to naught. Take up the white man's burden, no tawdry rule of kings, but toil of serf and sweeper, the tale of common things. The ports ye shall not enter, the roads ye shall not tread. Go make them with your living and mark them with your dead. Take up the white man's burden and reap his old reward. The blame of those ye better, the hate of those ye guard. The cry of those ye humor are slowly towards the light. Why brought ye us from bondage, our loved Egyptian night? Take up the white man's burden, ye dare not stoop to less, nor call too loud on freedom to cloak your weariness. By all ye cry or whisper, by all ye leave or do, the silent, sullen people shall wail gods and you. Take up the white man's burden, have done with childish days, the lightly proud
That was the excellent Chris Gard. Please do go and check out his YouTube channel. He's one of our friends and a musician, and damn good. I'm very fond of Chris. He's a good bloke. So yeah. Okay, I don't know, as always, what guests I'm going to get this evening. This evening so far we have Aaron and we have Aubrey Alley. Obviously I have, as I always do, invited Atman and Mitch. I know I can't make it this evening, and I've also invited Hitman. So if any of those people are watching this, please do come on, boys. But anyway, as always, I'm going to ask people if they would like, if they have a first topic for tonight. I'm going to start with Aaron. Aaron, do you have a first topic for tonight?
Yeah, it's a bit more mundane than the usual sort, but this month will be the start of campaigning in the local elections in England. And then though some councils have been disgracefully suspended so they can't be elected this year, quite a number of them, most of the councils in England have seats up for election. And so from what I've seen, it looks like Labour is, you'll be unsurprised to learn, going to get a hell of a kicking. And Reform, despite their current difficulties, look like they're likely to get a good showing this time round, and possibly do a lot better than the Tories.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. And I mean, you know, anyone who likes the Labour Party at this stage with two-tier care in charge and his buffoons in his cabinet, you know, female and male buffoons, basically. Lammy, the so-called Chancellor, who seems not to be even any sort of economist. I'm sure Reform will do quite well, because who the hell else can you vote for, you know?
Yeah.
That's the truth of it. Obviously, we are going to talk a little bit about Reform and Farage and his backstabbing attack on Rupert Lowe, which he absolutely was, and nothing else. I mean, all right, maybe Youssef, the Islamic other guy in Reform, had something to do with it. But I look, someone asked me on X earlier today, do I still support Rupert Lowe? And yeah, I do, 100%. Rupert Lowe was telling the truth. Rupert Lowe was advocating for the deportation of mainly Pakistani child rape and torture gangs, which are euphemistically called grooming gangs in Britain. He was advocating for the deportation of all illegal immigrants. Totally agree with that. And because all of them coming across from France are actually illegal economic migrants. None of them are refugees because they're already in France, you know, which is, even according to the United Nations, and I'm no fan of the UN, even according to the UN, France is a safe country. So, you know, and then on top of that, Rupert Lowe was absolutely correctly advocating for the deportation of all foreign criminals. Well, I don't see any problem with that either. And the fact that Farage wanted to close him down for saying those things, to me, it just makes me doubt Farage. That's the only thing it does.
Yeah.
And the Reform leadership, which includes this Sri Lankan Muslim dude, Yusuf, you know? But, you know, whatever. Anything else to say on that, Aaron?
Yeah, I'm just going to be interested to see how the Homeland Party does in terms of local. If they, I don't know if they're putting up candidates this year or not.
I don't know either, mate. I just think the Homeland. I do support Homeland, but I think that they're going to take so long to get anywhere that I think it might be a bit late. You know.
Yeah.
That's my main view on Homeland. But yeah, I'm talking to reform loyalists who will defend Yusuf to the death, basically.
Mm.
And the thing I found quite interesting is not long before this stream started, I was looking on X on Twitter, and there was one of these Twitter trending things, X trending things that Musk has brought in, which is quite useful. And it was saying that Farage is eyeing getting rid of Yusuf. Now, I think that's very unlikely, and I think that's a bit sad because I'd like him to get rid of Yusuf. But the thing is, you see, if he did, there are certain reform loyalists who I talk to who would have to tie themselves into absolute knots over this.
Yeah.
You know, I would just like to see what they would say, because they just follow the party line in the same way that, like, you know, Stalinists, NKVD men followed the party line, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, kill those women and children because we said so. And some of these people in reform, not all of them, there are exceptions, but some of them are almost as bad as that. They just would follow orders no matter how many babies they had to kill, you know. But anyway, we'll see what happens with that one, I guess.
Yeah, just on that. Oh, sorry.
No, you carry on, mate. You carry
I
on.
was just going to add, I have seen on some Discords I'm on and some on X photos going around. They've mocked up. There's that very famous picture of Stalin with the bloke next to him, and then there's a picture afterward where he's been taken out, and they've replaced Stalin and the bloke with Farage and Lowe. And
Yep. No, look, we'll get onto this in a minute because I think it's going to be the main subject of the stream. But before we do that, I know Aubrey Alley wants to talk about Derek Chauvin. Now, Derek Chauvin was the police officer who was given life in prison in the USA because while he was detaining him, the marvelous and, you know, this guy was such a saint, George Floyd, that he was convicted for placing a loaded gun in a black pregnant woman's belly and saying, "I want your money." Like he was robbing her.
Class act.
Yeah, and it was a black pregnant woman that George Floyd, Saint George as he's often called, was convicted of. So he's obviously a good guy because only good guys place loaded guns in the bellies of pregnant women.
Well, Black Lives Matter and liberals don't care about babies that are unborn. So,
well, this is true. They're nothing basically. So he'd only kill one person, really, not two. But I mean, you know, this film of Floyd with drugs in his mouth, and he died of a drug overdose. He didn't die from Derek Chauvin. Now, would I be mates with Derek Chauvin? Possibly not. Could he have treated that situation a little bit better? Possibly. But you know what? He didn't kill George Floyd. And he's been given life in prison. And I know there are various voices in America these days calling for President Trump to pardon him or give him a new trial or something.
You're taking all my talking points, by the way. Just saying.
No. I'm just about to pass it over to you. And I know that's what Aubrey Alley wants to talk about. So take it away, Aubrey Alley.
Okay, so yeah, I'm sure you guys are all pretty familiar with the case. It was pretty big, but so Ben Shapiro, whom I will not say anything more about, is calling for action. For he actually has.
He's not the only. He's not the only person
No,
calling.
he's not. But what he did do is he put a document online that you can go and read and sign, and it's a call to action for President Trump to pardon Derek Chauvin. Here's the problem, though. So there's a few things. So he was actually given not a life sentence, but he was given 22 and a half years. But that's a long time, of course. But he was. What's crazy too is he was found guilty of second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. And I'm not actually sure how that happens. And I think it's really crappy when prosecutors, they trump up. Okay, I won't say trump, but they step one charge after another on top of one another because they want to at least get a conviction of one thing. But the judge shouldn't have allowed all of those things to go forward, so they should have had to choose one or the other. But anyway, so he pled guilty. So that was on the state level. The problem then is that he was also charged on a federal level, which this doesn't happen very often in these types of cases, but it did. And he went ahead and pled guilty because what did he have to lose really at that point? And if he could serve his time in a federal prison, those are typically going to be a lot better. Right. Yes, exactly. So there usually tend to be a little safer, and there's more money that goes into the federal prison system. It kind of backfired on him, though, because he was attacked in the law library and stabbed 22 times, kind of 22, but survived. And so if President Trump does pardon him, then he'll be pardoned only at the federal level. That will still keep all of his state charges in place. And so it's kind of a catch-22 because if he does that, maybe they'll grant him the offer to stay in the federal prison system. Maybe not. And if I were him, I wouldn't want to go to the state prison. He should be in very protected custody anyway, frankly. But a few things though. So his case has already been.
Excuse
Yes.
me, Aubrey Alley.
Yes.
He should be released, is what should
Well,
happen.
absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Without
He
question.
was railroaded. He did
Without
not
question.
in no way did he get a fair trial. Not at all.
No, and there's a few reasons for that. And I saw somebody. I don't have the comments in front of me, but somebody said that they watched the cam video, and I did that as well from each of the police officers that were involved from their perspectives. And he was saying that he couldn't breathe well before he was still in the car in the back of the police cruiser. That they hadn't even touched him, and like you said, he had the pills. You could see that they were in his mouth. You could see him stuffing them in his mouth before they got him out of his car.
Yeah.
And so so that's one thing. But what they withheld from the jury, there's just a few points I want to mention. So what they withheld from the jury is that he had enough fentanyl and amphetamines in his system that they were obviously going to be a fatal level. I mean, they've said it's enough to kill a horse. And he had an enlarged heart, which I think they mentioned, but it's been so many months now. But they did it kind of in passing. It wasn't really given a whole lot of weight. But one of the jurors, or a few of the jurors afterwards when they were interviewed, said, well, we didn't really think that he killed him, but we felt that he was responsible for his death. And he was still alive when they put him into the back of the ambulance. So
Baby, why
I don't know how
did
that happens.
Aubrey? Why
Yes.
didn't he just get into the back of the police car?
Well, because
No
that's not what
stress.
Black culture
They would
does,
they would have taken him to the police station.
right?
End of story. I mean, remember, this whole thing started over Floyd trying to use a $20 forged note to buy a packet of cigarettes.
Right. He would have
Which,
been. It would have been a misdemeanor. He would have been in and out in a
yeah,
couple hours. But here's the problem: is that he had a ton of drugs on him in the car. Now the cops, if he had just gotten out, they would have just taken him because there were friends of his that were in the car. They could have just taken the car. They weren't saying they needed to search the whole entire car, but he started eating the drugs. I'm sure he was already high and was feeling a little paranoid. And I'm sorry, but that's his fault. It's all on him. So
yeah. And look, I totally agree. And you could maybe argue that Chauvin deserved a year or two in jail for being a bit unfeeling, maybe,
yeah,
but
I still don't even see
certainly no more than that. No more
right.
than that. It was
And
a cop.
we've talked about this. You and I. He was a huge guy, George Floyd, huge guy.
Oh yeah,
And
he was 6'4". Yeah, he
right,
was a big guy. Yeah.
and bulky. And so when you're on that those types of drugs too, like fentanyl with the amphetamines, also, that gives you this kind of crazy strength. And he was losing it. He was pretty delirious, and so that's a lot for them. I mean, you saw if you watched the video how they're struggling. Like 4 police officers are struggling
Yep.
to keep him
Yep.
in. And so, what are they to do? And the other thing too is that the when they did the autopsy, they said that there was no damage done to the neck, to the the thorax or anything
No.
in that area. And so they don't even think that he was actually truly kneeling on his neck.
Well,
This
he
is one of
wasn't.
Shapiro's points,
He was kneeling on his
on
shoulder,
his
actually.
shoulder and back, right? Which is what they're trained to do in that
Which is
situation,
it is what they're trained to
right?
do.
And
The-
I've got family
the-
members that are
the-
cops, and
yeah,
I think it's very easy to Monday morning quarterback and to not be in the situation right then. Like he also had the whole crowd that was kind of this mob mentality. Everybody knows what was going on already with Black Lives Matter because of what happened in St. Louis here, with Aaron, whatever his name was, and so that was already the environment that they were dealing
but
with. But
we also, Aubrey Alley, we also now know because of the Trump administration.
Michael Brown was his name. Sorry, not Aaron. Keep going.
Yeah, but we also know now because of the Trump administration that Black Lives Matter were getting funding from the Democrat Party.
Oh yeah, they were. Oh yeah,
So,
when they were burning the cities down, we had Kamala Harris and her people. They were going right to the jails and they were getting them out and putting them right back out on the streets. And George Soros was bussing people in. So these cities are getting burnt down, right? My city, St. Louis, Minneapolis, where this was all happening, they're getting burnt down. Cities all over the place, and we have these politicians that are calling for him to be found guilty. Everybody knows, these potential jurors in the jury pool know that if they vote not guilty, the cities are going to burn even more. So the other thing too that I really don't like about this, and sorry, I'll kind of wrap this up here in a second, but the other thing I really don't like is that the family of George Floyd, they had a settlement paid out to them before the trial even started.
They got millions, baby.
Yeah, and that was before the trial started. So what does that show? Again, the potential jury pool where the jury is going to be drawn from. It shows that already, their elected officials think that their elected officials think that he was guilty. I mean, it's it's basically an admission
Maybe
of guilt,
well,
even though it's not theirs.
there is no way or reality that Chauvin got a fair trial. He didn't.
No,
Not at
no,
all.
no. He should
Didn't
have had
get
a
fair
change of
trial.
venue at the very least.
Yeah, it should have been the
Um,
other end of the country. But yeah,
So
he
I
got
don't
he,
know.
he got no fair trial at all.
I don't know how his team can't come at this from the approach that his like civil rights were like stomped on. Basically, he has the right to a fair trial. This is not a fair trial. But anyway, so the other thing I wanted to mention though about this is that if Trump does pardon him, again, we're back to the state level. Well, he has already appealed. It's gone to the higher court, and then it went to the state Supreme Court. And then I didn't know this until today, but our Supreme Court, our federal Supreme Court, they dismissed it. They wouldn't hear it. So maybe with Trump, if he does pardon it, it will give them a second chance at putting it in front of the Supreme
Hopefully.
Court. I don't know how that works, actually. If you can resubmit, I don't know.
No, nor do I. I'm certainly not a US lawyer, but I see your point entirely, and I think anyone who watched the Derek Chauvin trial knows he did not get a fair trial.
Right. He's been the
Not
sacrificial lamb, and he's the evil white man, and this is what. Yeah, but I think Black Lives Matter is losing a lot of steam now.
For sure,
they're
yeah.
taking down murals and of theirs, and yeah.
You do know, don't you, Aubrey Ali, that the Americans actually put a George Floyd mural on one of their buildings in Afghanistan.
Oh yeah, I know, because my ex was over there when they did it.
It's comical. It's comical.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
Comical.
And let me tell you, all of our military guys thought the same thing. They thought it was ridiculous, and they were all like, "We don't stand for any of this. What the hell is this?" So
it's insanity. But
Yeah,
I fully support Chauvin getting a new trial. What do you think, Aaron? I think he deserves a new trial.
Yeah, I think he does. And actually, I'd be opposed to the pardon on the principle that the pardon won't quash the conviction. So it'll still be, if you give him the pardon and the conviction isn't quashed, he's still guilty of it according to the law. So a new trial is better.
Aaron, it won't let him out of jail because he's got a state conviction, and the American president can only pardon federal crimes. So he still won't get out.
Would have to do it.
But I do think that if President Trump put his mind to it with his legal advisors, they could come up with a plan where Chauvin would get a new trial, which is what he deserves, to be honest.
They could, the governor could pardon him. And yeah, like you said, I mean, if there's enough Trump influence, that would be great. But here's a question for you guys then. Do you think, considering your point that you just made, Aaron, do you think that it's worth it from Trump's point of view based on what will fall back on him with his momentum and what's going on, and he's gotten about like 10% more of the Black population's votes? Do you think that this would be worth it at this point in time for him to do?
I think it may well be worth his time, because the Black Lives Matter movement within the Black communities has lost quite a lot of support because of all the stuff about the financial peculiarity, shall we say, that was going on. So it may not particularly harm him with them at all, given how unpopular they're becoming across the board, but also particularly with the Black community.
Right. Well, and now that we've got the administration in that we do, and we've got people that are taking control of the hopefully the FBI and everything else again, hopefully they will get people in place to start actually policing like they're supposed to. We've got so downtown St. Louis has turned into an absolute shithole. I mean, it was never lovely, but that's where I went to school in college where I went to college, and it was beautiful campus, really fun to be down there, fun nightlife. Now you will like get shot if you go down there, or at least carjacked probably. But they don't prosecute anything, and this is the same in all these other Democrat-led cities. So welcome to America. Yes, he is lucky to still be alive.
Yeah,
I'd like to know where his protective, custody was there at that point too, when he was in the law library. Why they weren't looking out for him?
Well, yeah, babes, but they can only go so far. I mean, if a dude who they thought was trustworthy was in there with him and stabbed him, there's no way they can tell.
Yeah, I think when you're that high profile, though, that you're supposed to be like kept basically in a bubbled, cushioned area. So like there shouldn't have been anyone that
might as well be dead then.
Him.
You might as well be dead then.
Yeah, but I'd rather be a solitary lone figure than. I mean, the cops don't get it very well, get treated very well anyway in prison.
Well, understandably, but the point I would make is that he didn't get a fair trial and he didn't deserve 20 odd years in prison.
So if I were him, and this is just one last point that just came into my mind. If I were him, or like his wife, maybe I would say
his wife divorced. His wife.
Well, that's right. That's right. Okay, his parents. I don't know. Somebody that's his next of kin. Say if he's got kids, whatever. I would say I would sue the city of, and I would say, in civil suit, and see what happens with that. And that's where say what you will about Ben Shapiro, but that's where this movement could also help. So
I'm no lawyer, so I'm not going to comment, and I'm certainly not.
It'd be an interesting take, and I've not actually heard anyone say that. So
the only thing I will say is I would like President Trump to get him a new trial. That's the only
right.
thing.
That would be the most ideal thing. So if he could drop the pardon him, and then if he could use his influence. Unfortunately, the governor of Minnesota, we all know, is that wacky
lefty
freak that was gonna potentially be our vice president.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, I hope I didn't bore all of you guys with this American case, but it does have influence on the rest of the world.
Yeah, it does.
Black Lives Matter took hold in your countries too.
Yeah, I remember the huge, enormous embarrassment of watching British football teams kneeling for it.
God.
Yeah, I remember this. And watching two-tier Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, kneeling for Black Lives Matter. I watched it. Yeah, it was disgusting as far as I was concerned. But,
so Matt Walsh, whom I adore, he made this movie called Am I Racist? And it's phenomenal. You should all go watch it. But he does this it's all satire. I mean, it's all tongue in cheek, and the people that that are in it don't know that's they think he's like legitimate, and the whole time he's basically just like mocking the whole movement, but Black Lives Matter movement. But anyway, he goes up and he stands in front of the Washington Monument, and he's got a petition that he's asking people to sign, because he's saying that he would like for the Washington Monument to be renamed the George Floyd Monument, and that he wants to paint it black. Oh my God, you can't believe how many freaking people signed this thing. Yep, it's insane. So I hope we're turning the corner.
Yeah, Aubrey Alley is a good-hearted lady, but she's a bit normie for some of our
I'm a bit what? Normie?
Yeah, she's a bit normie for some of us.
How so in what I just said?
Don't worry.
That I don't want the Washington Monument.
No,
George Floyd Monument.
No, not in that. But
I know where you're going with it.
But yeah, Aubrey Alley is a very good-hearted American girl, and I think she's entirely correct about Derek Chauvin. But she is a bit normie for some of us.
Sorry.
But yeah, but I've told her this before, but it doesn't matter.
Mitch has accused me of that quite a few times too, but I'm
Mitch,
trying.
yeah, Mitch is not a normie. Mitch is a
No, he
good
accuses me of being a normie.
Yeah, I know, and
Yeah.
Mitch is a good guy. But anyway, I will just say this: I've invited Mitch onto this stream. I've invited Hitman onto this stream. I've invited Ataman onto this stream, and we will see if any of them turn up, because I can only invite them, can't make them turn up. But yeah, no, I totally agree with Aubrey Ali about Chauvin. Chauvin didn't get a fair trial, and he deserves another one. He does. So there we go.
Yep, he absolutely does.
All right. I guess we have to kind of turn to Nigel Farage, Islamic Youssef, and reform. And of course, Rupert Lowe. Hey, here we go. Mitch.
I was mentioned.
Welcome, Mitch. Welcome.
Yeah, I heard Aubrey mention me, and I thought, come on.
Yeah, I was trying to tell her you're
I always
not.
mention you, Mitch.
I was trying to tell her you're not a normie, but anyway.
No, I said that he says I'm a normie all the time.
Well, he's not wrong about that, but yeah, for the most part. Good to see AI in the chat. I knew he couldn't join us this evening because he told me. Mitch, did you have a first subject for this evening, or did you have anything to say? Or did you?
I've only really been focusing on the Rupert Lowe situation, which I would say is just very blackmailing. So I don't know what more that can be said. About it, other than just like because you have the Reform Party loyalist band camp. Some people on the Worcester Club, for example, who say, "Oh well, Rupert Lowe invited to disappoint himself by questioning Farage's leadership," and I go, like, which I'd say it's one, but that's the thing. Like, that Reform statement against Lowe never mentioned said comments.
No.
They just said, "Oh, he was accused of beating 2 women or something," which is absolutely bullcrap. When you factor it, he's put down as for example, his former secretary did like a character assessment of him, like on a Twitter profile, where she just said the guy's basically an English gentleman. Like he does not fit the profile at all to befit these accusations. And also, they're not even around him. Like it's not about him. It's about 2 guys who happen to work in his office or constituency office or something. So they're being punished for the act.
And Mitch, the reform people claimed there was a parliamentary investigation, and apparently there is no parliamentary investigation.
Yeah, and the other thing was, how was he? Oh yeah, apparently he, and also the much laughter accusation that Z used to feel threatened by him, which this is just, and it's not just about that, but they said, okay, he's not coming back, even if he were to be exonerated from all the accusations.
Tice said that 2 days after this whole thing broke. He said, no, even if Rupert Lowe is found totally not guilty of any of these things that we've accused him of, which were nothing to do with him, by the way, but even if he's found not guilty, he's still not coming back, which I don't know. I get there are a few people in the Reform Party who are really thick and just follow the party line. But you know what? To me, what that says is this had nothing whatever to do with anything Rupert Lowe almost certainly didn't do wrong, but has everything to do with a little tiny bit of criticism of Nigel Farage. And his Ceylonese Islamic co-person.
Well, that's the thing. What about is that it'd be one thing if they were to just throw him out of a party for a temporary while, just to say, oh, you can't be seen as criticising reform out in the open. Okay, that'd be one thing, at least it's honest and you know where you stand with that. But
Yep.
these backhanded accusations, yeah, but this is just where, like, I'm technically a reform member, but I'll put in to say I want to leave the party because I can't be honest with this. It's just a very feminine way of handling it, which are like very effeminate, and I just think,
Yeah,
and
it's
I've only heard about the branches, like up in was that County Durham or Newcastle, where I think it was. Some guy resigned from up there, and then I'm hearing rumours of Stafford apparently, but I've heard apparently Stafford turned out to be like BS or something, and then the other one was not Merseyside, it was like Cheshire or something, where the entire like all the activists had just bloody resigned all at once apparently. So
I think, Mitch, I think that was the Newcastle area party, and they all resigned, all of them, not one or two, but all of the Reform Party activists in that area said, "Yeah, we're just resigning."
Yeah, and you got to factor like because people like did you get somebody who say, "Oh, the reformers on 26% of the popular vote," and they go, "The thing is, if you were like to borrow a 1984 metaphor, you have a inner party, which is like Farage and his acolytes, like Gawain Taylor, Z Yusuf, Richard Tice, etc. Then you got what's called the outer party, which is like your activists, your people, your boots on the ground, your infantry who go out and put leaflets through doors and so on. Now, if you're in a party and screwing over the outer party, it just becomes a position where you go, okay, how sustainable is this if you're just going to be antagonising your outer party branches so much that there's a noticeable chunk of them who'll just, at the very least, getting a second thought about the ZU stuff at the very least, as well as Farage's. And you get some rumours apparently that Farage wants to get rid of Z Yusuf as a means of containing this, and I go, well, no, that won't happen because Farage, at the end of the day, he's not a guy who likes to have egg on his face. He'll only do it if I just don't see it happening. Farage getting rid of Yusuf anytime soon.
I just don't trust him anymore, Mitch. That's my opinion on Farage. Rupert Lowe was saying everything Rupert Lowe was saying was entirely correct. He didn't say anything I didn't agree with. And yet he gets booted from Reform using really underhand, backstabbing methods of talking about some sort of parliamentary legal inquiry, which was never happening. It was only a Reform thing. And then, I don't know, 3 months after the event, poor little Zia Yusuf, who is, I don't know, 36 or 37, reported 67-year-old Rupert Lowe for threatening him to the police. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't respect any man who's half the age of someone who then reports him to the police. I mean, if a woman does that, or a child, I'd say, yeah, all right, they're a woman or a child. But no man should do such a thing. It's like it's completely un-English and un-British. Say something, people. It's dead air.
Yeah, I just don't.
But what if? Well, never mind.
What if?
I'm not gonna put forth a hypothetical.
That's a good idea. Yes. But what do you think, Aaron, about all this stuff with Reform and Farage and the excellent Rupert Lowe?
I think it's a complete balls up, and I think to my mind, I think it's a balls up by the way that Farage handled it. I don't think initially he was he had anything particularly. I don't think it was something he sort of brought about. It's that when Yusuf went to the police, he just decided to turn on low and
Do
just
do
hammer
you
the
do you think for one moment that Youssef, the Ceylonese Muslim who is the only other person with any power and reform, do you think for one moment, Aaron, that when Youssef went to the police, Farage didn't know?
No, I think that he would have told Farage just before he went to the police, and so that's what I think would have prompted Farage to go
Yeah.
after to
Yeah,
do
so
that.
Farage could have said, no, mate, you can't do that. He could have.
Yeah, but I think that's what I mean. He balls it up.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I think you're being kinder to Farage than I would be, but all right, fair enough. See,
Yeah.
my fear is that even, and don't get me wrong, who the hell else do we have to vote for in Britain except reform at the moment? I mean, if you're somebody who wants to retain some semblance of traditional Britain, reform is the only people you can vote for at the moment who are
Yeah.
standing. But my fear is that if Farage gets in, his policies are so watered down, he won't do anything. He won't change anything. He'll just become a Mark II Toryfy. And we're hearing ever increasing stories of people from the so-called, in air quotes, Conservative Party central office joining reform. We're just seeing this every day now because Youssef wants them. And Farage is either too weak or doesn't care. And Farage comes out on the TV and says, oh no, we've absolutely got to accept Islam in Britain. I'm sorry, that to me is anathema. It's anathema. I
Great word, by the way.
don't get it. I don't get it. Mitch, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I can't. I'd say to come in this general election, I can stomach voting reform, but I'm just not that persuasion where I go. I find it hard to justify volunteering, let alone being a member, which I currently am for the time being. I can't imagine volunteering for reform at the moment because it's just more. It's one thing with the rank and file people because they're grand and they agree far more with us than they would with Farage about topics like Islam or whatever. However, it's like an army to find multiple vice commanding officers. Likewise, you also define a political party by its top rung leadership. And if you're going to have Farage come in with his attacks on Low and this kind of treatment of him, and so after this, I think Farium on what's the call was probably right when we say after this, it's going to convince the Reform Party that had to go softer on some issues to not warrant another Rupert Low.
Totally agree. I mean, how is any Reform MP going to speak out after what happened to Rupert Lowe? None of them will say a word now.
No, it's just going to be. Mediterranean War McConnell. I don't know if you saw Matt Goodwin on Twitter. He came out with a meme where he said, "Oh well, you can join the 26% of the public voting reform, which is like soft, whereas or you can vote for the 3% of people wanting remigration." And it's just like, well, as you can, and the thing is that first of all, that's a bit of an own goal because, well, first of all, if you want, like, without the online rights, I mean, look at Richard Tice. He's just a massive boomer. He just wants to complain about rainbows and pronouns and whatnot. Whereas the online right, yeah, you can criticize on parts of the online right for at times being a bit too uncompromised on certain issues, but that's where you get your ideas from. Like Max Tempest, for example, he's the main reason why I've even heard of multibility. So.
Mitch, you know this because you and I talk fairly often and we're on the same Discord, I was willing to accept reform saying, all right, we're going to deport all the illegal economic migrants who cross from France, and we're also going to deport all the foreign criminals who commit crimes in Britain. As a start, I was willing to accept that. But I don't know if this is true. The reform loyalists keep telling me, oh no, this hasn't changed. But I get the impression reform is going back on that now. That's
well, you got Gawain Taylor. Yeah, I don't know if you saw Gawain Taylor, like he was saying, oh well, we can deport the Pakistani gang rapists, but we can't deport their families. And it's like, well, the families knew of it, though.
Of course,
like
they did.
if you were say for example, you have a murderer and the family knew that he was a murderer and said nothing about it, that family would all be done for perverting the course of justice. That's just the natural way things are.
If
under
they
English
know,
law.
yeah, that's the law. That's the law. I mean,
yeah, and that's the thing. You have.
Does that happen often in England, though, that people are found guilty as an accessory in that way?
No, they're not found guilty, but they very often are an accessory. Like there are many cases in Britain of mostly Pakistani rape and torture gangs who torture little girls as young as 11, who, when their father is given 5 years in prison, which is, mostly what they don't get big sentences in Britain. The Pakistani daughters stand up in court and say, "We love you, Dad," because they don't give a shit about 11-year-old little English white.
So what about like the wives? They're not ever because they have to be aware of.
Well, of course they do.
Yeah, because you have cases like brothers, uncles, and their nephews, fathers and their sons. You're pretty much you can have entire families where all the men are sharing the same girls. There's no way the women don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just ask because it's not commonly achieved here in the U.S. I mean, they threaten charges, but it doesn't happen very often. They always end up dropping them.
But the women have no power, you see, because it's Islam, and women are basically chattels anyway, as far as Islam's concerned. And that's even more true of enemy women like English white girls. They're basically sex slaves as far as Islam is concerned. That's all they are.
That's not fair. Islam is a religion of peace. They care about us just as much as we do. They just need more love and hugs, and that's it.
Yeah, it's a religion of pieces when they explode bombs. But okay.
That was good. That was good.
But whatever. Look, guys, this is not going to be a long stream, unless somebody's got something they want to bring up at the moment. And I'm not. Go for it.
I was going to say, given Aubrey's on, I don't know if she wants to talk about a generational divide, in terms of, because you have Zoomer women, you've got millennial women, and I don't know if Gen X women, like Duke's generation, want to be, because Aaron and Aubrey have got. Aaron and Aubrey, you two are millennials. I'm the only Zoomer, and Duke's the only Gen Xer. I don't know if you want to take that discussion, Aubrey.
You get it going first, and then I'll chime in.
Yeah, I got to talk it. Yeah, because it's for example, I don't want to dox myself, but let's just say, for argument's sake, I'm going to be 24 soon, and went on a date in my first time for ages, and I thought the girl was only a few years older than me. It turns out that she's 35, 36 later this year, and it's just and it got me thinking, okay, what are the divides between because for example, let's say women of my age or younger, it's just like they hold on to the worst aspects of youth. They just don't want to mature. And generally, like the worst aspects people complain about in the dating market, a lot of Zoomer women just possess. And but like, whereas I mean, you got millennial women who start so much. Because, for example, I don't know if you ever heard of the film Scott Pilgrim versus the World about a character called Ramona Flowers with the dyed hair. That there's a famous song where it goes like called something along the lines of Scott Pilgrim ruined an entire generation of women. Where you have women dyeing their hair all manner of colours, for example, and a lot of negative habits. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going down a rabbit hole there, but I'll let you
No,
take it.
I think that you make a good point, and I've heard this same thing said by a lot of my guy friends, and like my cousins and stuff that are in the dating world, my male cousins, and I think that a part of that has to do with the fact that so I'm in my 40s, and I think that feminism has been indoctrinated so much more into the younger girls now that are in their 20s now than it was. I mean, it was kind of starting pretty, a little more heavily like in the academic environment and stuff for us, but now it's crazy. I mean, when I was in my 20s, I mean, guys would open doors for you and you'd go on dates and the guy would pay and, all that stuff. And girls didn't get in their faces and say, how dare you offer to pay the bill on this date? I mean, it's crazy. Girls are freaking crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember mentioning apparently Benjamin Franklin wrote a text one time where basically said, "Oh yeah, if you're a young man, basically go for older women because more mature and so on." And it's just like I've had plenty of my generation of co-workers who also saying they're just saying, "Oh yeah, like if they were to go for women, they just generally go for older because young women nowadays are just complete no-go zone. A lot of them are, not all of them, of course, but it's like the girl, like the woman I asked to, like she's got no tattoos, no great narcissism, got no great flaws that a lot of people complain about in the dating market. So yeah, I just think that's going to be more of a thing with the way dating is going horribly wrong. That you're just going to get older, you're going to get younger men going for older women, and it's just going to be a bit of a weird dynamic to work with for the short to medium term future.
Yeah, when I got back into the dating world after my ex and I broke up, that was the weirdest thing to me, that these 20-something guys just boom. And I was like, what the hell's going on here, you guys? I'm in my 40s and they're all saying the same thing. They don't want to date girls in their 20s because they can't stand them, and they're annoying, and they're all the things that you said. But I also think too that the parenting is different for the girls that are in their 20s now than it was for my generation. We didn't have the everybody gets a trophy, that everybody's told that they're just like the perfect little princess that can do anything they want to do. I just think there's a lot more narcissism in these young girls. And I think when you're dating somebody who's older anyway, I'm not saying that I'm being a big proponent for this necessarily, but when you're dating someone who's older, you have someone that's kind of figured out who they are, who's more in touch with, who they are, I guess, at a more base level. And you don't have these flighty, right? Are you guys with me on that?
Look, the only thing I would say is when I was a young dude of about 20, I definitely used to chase MILFs, but so long as they weren't married, that was my only deal.
What is most females now are just bikes? Is that supposed to be dykes, or am I missing something? What is bikes?
No. I said MILFs.
No, I'm reading one of the comments. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Is that a slang thing over there? For you?
This guy probably just doesn't like women. But yeah, whatever. Listen, there's much to dislike about modern women, but you know what? There's still some good ones out there. And if you become the man of one of them, like you're a regular bloke, or her husband, they will mostly adopt your political views, which is why I don't really concern myself too much about women's political views, because they don't really matter, you know. Aaron, anything to add on this before we close?
Not really. I've been pretty much single since COVID, and before that, I wasn't. I had some relationships, but they were few and far between. So much good on this topic, to be honest.
Can I ask one more question though of Mitch real quick? So Mitch, when you're out on dates with, or just even hanging out with these girls in their 20s, are they even bringing up topics like this, like political topics, world event topics? Do they talk about this stuff at all?
You'll get in terms of like, I don't know, let's say for argument's sake, so let's say if a woman I talked about who's in her mid-30s doesn't come up with a, if I talk to, let's say, a girl younger than me, a lot of girls near me are like Green Party members, or at least like people who voted Green Party or Labour, and I don't even have to talk about it, I just know they're into that. So as long as I can avoid talking about politics with women, full stop, because it's just like, you know, you just wait. I just wait a couple of months or something before starting with politics with women. That if I like from personal experience, like you, I don't know if you know Jaws from Worcester Club, Duke. I think he had a take. Yeah, because he had a take which was something along the lines of he also thinks that women are hard to know over because basically most men like. 'Cause you factor Britain. I don't know if this is true of America because America has a different culture. Like, they've got a lot more initiative compared to this country. But basically, because of the way we're governed, there's not really great avenues for young men to climb up a ladder or just be successful. So it's like because women are naturally hypergamic. I think that's pronounced right. And basically, women just don't really have a great choice in the dating market. I don't. Perhaps I'm putting too much charity on how modern women behave, but yeah, I think there's an element of truth to that. Like, if you're a young woman and you're looking at young men, let's say of my generation, it's just like there's not really a great deal of picks because basically it's just the economy is on its arse, and there's not really a great chance of social mobility or anything to enchant a woman on that side of economic decision.
You know, the older women, though, too, you're also getting women who have probably come out of, because I mean, everybody's getting divorced now. So you're probably getting somebody who's already been in a stable relationship or in a long-term relationship. And then you're getting, you know, them in the transition period afterwards. And so they've learned something, hopefully, from those relationships instead of, you know, just kind of the little naive schoolgirls. But you know, Duke has said you can get a young girl and mold them, though. So
yeah, I was just going to say, or they might be an older woman, once an arsehole, always an arsehole. But yeah,
yeah, for sure.
But yeah, look, this is not a dating site. We're not.
No, it's.
No. All right, Aaron, would you like to plug your channel, mate?
Yeah, my channel is Aaron Hook, if you put it into YouTube, and I did a live stream tonight, earlier, on the future of the James Bond film franchise, and tomorrow I will be doing a live stream with two authors about our favourite horror films, which is going to be 6 p.m. tomorrow, British time.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend Aaron's channel. He does lots of book reviews and this kind of stuff. So yeah, go and check out Aaron's channel. Thank you very much to my guests, or Reality, Aaron and Mitch. We're going to do a short stream this week because I just feel like if we carry on longer, we're just going to talk about the same stuff over and over. I'm going to play us out with a bit of a tune anyway.
Oh, Polly, love, oh, Polly, the rout has now begun. And we must go a-marching at the beating of the drum. Go dress yourself all in your best and come along with me. I'll take you to the war, my love, in high Germany. Oh, Willie, love, oh, Willie, come listen what I do say. Me feet, they are so tender, I cannot march away. And besides, dearest Willie, I am with child by thee. Not fit for the war, my love, in high Germany. I'll buy for you a horse, my love, and on it you shall ride. And no, my delight shall be in riding by your side. We'll stop at every ale house and drink when we are dry. We'll be true to one another, get married by and by. Oh, cursed be those cruel wars that ever they should rise. And out of merry England press many a man likewise. They press for true love from me, likewise my brothers three, and send them to the war with love in high Germany. Me friends I do not value, nor my foes I do not fear. Now my love has left me, I wander far and near. And when the baby is born and smiling on my knee, I'll think of lovely Willie in high Germany. Oh, Polly, love, oh, Polly, the rout has now begun. And we must go a-marching at the beating of the drum. Go dress yourself all in your best and come along with me. I'll take you to the war, my love, in high Germany.
Okay, and that was from Patriotic Archive. Go and check his channel out. Great British and European military, naval, and also folk songs. And that one dates back to Marlborough's wars in Europe, so in the early 1700s. I'd like to thank again my guest, Aaron Hook, and his details for his channel will be under the stream later on. Aubrey, Ali, and Mitch, go well, guys. We'll be back on Wednesday, by the way, with a new Splendid Isolation historical stream. Don't know what the subject's going to be about yet. I'm waiting for people to give me suggestions. But we'll be back on the same time on Wednesday with that. And of course, we'll be back next week with another one of these, which might be a slightly longer stream depending on what's going on. So anyway, thanks for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Let me just quickly check in case we got any super chats, which we don't normally. Oh, we did. Okay. Well, I'm glad I checked it out. Garin has sent us $5 and just says hello. Well, Garin, thank you very much for the support. And hello to you too. So yeah, you can send us super chat questions via Entropy. It's pinned at the top of the chat. And as I say, the only reason I go on about this shit now is I'm actually spending a fair amount of money on StreamYards and X/Twitter these days, so we can stream live there too. So yeah, go well, folks. We'll see you next week. And in the meantime, don't let the bastards grind you down. Good evening.
Bye, guys.
Right.